right, it's about to start here.
All right, everybody. Hey, we're here to talk about psychedelic entrepreneurship and the underground market. Psychedelics are experiencing unprecedented waves of popularity right now. There's a huge industry being built around them, but the legalization of psychedelics and pathways to access are projected to be over a decade off. And in the meantime, there is a huge underground market, a gray market that has developed that's in the tens of billions or more of dollars. So we're here to talk about how entrepreneurs can ethically engage this market and what to do about it while regulators and everyone else waffles around at a glacial pace before legalization. So let's tap in right now with Robert Johnson. Robert, can you tell us a little bit about your experience in the industry working with cannabis and also now your interests in the psychedelic industry?
Yeah, so I was in cannabis since 2008 and really saw so much change over the past 15 years, starting with medical and then legalization here in California and other states. I think one big difference with the legalization or the path to legalization for mushrooms is it's not just merchants and dispensaries that are looking to get into this, but big pharma and medical therapists. And so we have a lot of different interests that want to convince America that their way is the only safe, regulated way to access these plants or mushrooms that have been growing for hundreds of thousands of years. And it's my belief that it's really the consumer that decides what is safe for them. And, so for that reason, I think that counterculture is really becoming mainstream, and the publicly traded companies often refer to each other as the competition, but fail to mention this thriving underground market, similar to how cannabis still is today in California and other states, where a majority of sales are still happening in the unregulated market. I find it fascinating, these emerging industries and how they're accepted and how it all rolls out. What about you, Mary?
Well, interestingly, I think that the overarching theme, sort of hinting through this discussion and in the description of this panel proposal, is pointing at the lack of access that the current frameworks for psychedelic legalization currently creates. And what I mean by that specifically is mostly the price for access to these medicines in the current therapeutic framework is outrageously expensive. It's really only accessible to, a very small sector of the population. And on top of that, it really impacts it increases the importance, therefore, of the underground market currently, because the underground market is serving the majority of the populace right now in the United States, and I mean realistically all over the world. And I don't think that people really understand that when we're talking about legalization of these psychedelic substances, we're not really talking about access through a dispensary model right away through state level legalization the way that it played out with cannabis. It's not like that. It's going to be the pharmaceutical. It's going to be accessible through pharmaceuticals and through the medical model, basically, which always requires either a prescription or going to a therapy office to, have access to these substances. And that really isn't accessible in the way that the underground market is. And of course, there are other issues with this, including quality control, etc. That's always going to be an issue, which really, really emphasizes the importance of knowing who you are getting these substances from, etc. And the underground market ultimately putting quality control on themselves and creating a product that is safe and fruitful for people to take. So obviously there are issues, and these issues are going to be ones that we're all going to have to grapple with as we move forward, both as consumers and as producers in this new burgeoning society, and that we're this landscape that we're moving into. So I think it's really exciting. And as a journalist and as a reporter, it's always something that I'm looking forward to reporting on, always, all the time. And even I noticed that in my reporting, even through more mainstream publications such as NPR and KCRW here in Los Angeles, like they're looking for these stories and they're looking to tell these stories. So I know that this is information that people want access to, and they want to know how they can start incorporating these substances into their lives.
What do you got, Reggie?
I'm gonna hop in and kind of take a different approach to the conversation, if y'all don't mind me doing that. You know, my interest and background is always going to be, what we consider the legacy folks, the legacy growers, the legacy providers. I think another term for the legacy that I've been thinking a lot about was, traditional, indigenous, or ancestral providers. They would be considered, black market. The way that a lot of these medicines became black market was because there were ways to like detach people from their indigenous roots and their indigenous cultures. And so as we see these things, roll out in a capitalist society, I do believe that, as things are rolling out, that we should not lose track of, honoring the people who have traditionally been holders of the medicine. And I don't think that it's to say, all right, well, fuck the clinical model, but just more often than not, as I've seen legislation roll out presently, we kind of are forgetting about A, indigenous folks, but B, what we would consider the underground provider or the outlaws, the people who are currently holding up the market. I think, Bob, you said that something like, 90% of sales are currently still taking place on the underground market. Now, I don't like the term black market, but the underground market. And I think there's something to be said about that. I think that there's something to be said about the risk that these people are taking in order to bring healing to a lot of folks, and to, quite frankly, bring this quote industry into a place where like it's above ground. And so because these people are taking these risks, I just think that we should keep them in mind. We should keep them front and center. And when we talk about entrepreneurship or access to, burgeoning industry, we should make sure to kind of honor the sacrifice that these people have made, and keep them front and center in terms of legislation, specifically legislation as it concerns sales.
Well, we really hope that y'all will consider our panel. We think that it would be really interesting for your audience, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.